Hello, it's Julia Watts here. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. So, as the title suggests, today we're going to be doing some stamping with some Fairy Hugs stamps. I've got a selection here on my craft sheet. Not sure if I'm going to use everything. I've got a plan in my head, but we'll see how it goes. So, the base to start with, we're starting with a paper. This is from the Shimmergust Paper Pad from Fairy Hugs. Many of you that follow Fairy Hugs will probably have some of these papers already. They are excellent for stamping on. They really take the ink absolutely beautifully, and sometimes with the silhouette stamps you might need to, on watercolour card, stamp 2 or 3 times. Sometimes your first go on this card is good enough. It's really good. They're a little bit grungy, these designs. I'll take you through what I've got left. I haven't got everything left because I've used a lot. We've got it's a 6x6 paper pad, 24 double-sided sheets. There are 2 sheets of each of 24 designs, and it's 216 GSM, so it is actually a lightweight card really. So I'll just flick you through what we've actually got left here, so you can see. I'll hold it up so you can see close. It's got kind of a netted kind of texture to it, but it's completely flat. It's kind of semi-coated, if you like, but like I say, it takes the inks really well. It takes your distress inks, your oxides, your VersaFine Clair, archivals. They'll all go beautifully on this. You can use your texture pastes as well. I haven't actually spritzed on here, but I see no reason why your misters wouldn't work as well, seeing as distress ink is a dye-based ink, and that works perfectly. So you can see they're quite grungy designs, but they're a really good start. Obviously I've used a lot of mine, but you can see all of the designs on the front there, and if you visit my website juliawattscrafts.co.uk, you will actually see them a little bit closer, and everything I'm using is in stock on my website at the moment. For shipping to UK addresses only, that is. Got a little Fairy Hugs little logo look now. Get rid of that for now. Right, okay, so let's crack on. So I've just taken one of the 6x6 papers out, and we're just going to give it a little bit of bit more inking. So I've got an idea. It's always a good idea to put the idea out to see where you want to perhaps add ink. This is the lantern tree, and we do have a lantern set which is designed so that you can add lanterns to it, like so. I know mine are slightly offset, but you can also add your mini fairy nests. They're going to work really well hanging from the tree. So we're going to have one of those. I don't know which one yet, I haven't made my mind up. And then the idea is that we are going to have the fairy couple. These are a little bit offset as well. They're going to be sat here underneath the tree with the lantern or a nest hanging from there. And they're dreaming of their dream castle, which is in the distance. So obviously that can't be floating, so we need to kind of put some hills or things going on there. So that's obviously a little bit of inking we need to do. I think I might actually put Spooky Moon, one of the solids, behind the just behind the castle there as well. So that's where we're going with that. And probably if we're using the lanterns, we're bringing the mini fireflies, and then I'll just, because they're quite small, I'll probably bring in the hug sentiments from the fairy words as well. So that is the overall plan. Whether it actually turns out like that, we will see. So we need to have some inking going on. So let's find my little tray of inky bits. So we use that one. I have got one that's a little bit like a mountain, so we can use that. And we'll go for a green brush as well. and I want to use Distress ink rather than Distress Oxide. So we're going for Rustic Wilderness, and we need this to be kind of up there a little bit. So we're going to have to extend this down because obviously my torn off area starts a little bit high. Unless we do another one, let's just do another one, which is easy enough to do, just so I don't make a mess of it. So we need quite a high hillock. So I think watercolour card's the best to actually use, because it kind of lasts the longest. Let's see. Let's have it. Still doing it round the wrong way. Let's have it like that. That'll do. And keep this side because it's your negative. See, no skill involved there. I want to have it high enough. Off of the page. Rustic Wilderness is quite dark. If you don't want it to be dark, then go for one of the lighter greens, like perhaps Peel Paint is a little bit lighter. Twisted Citron's a nice one to use actually. We can add a little bit of foliage and a little bit of interest if we want to. Maybe even add a stencil as well. But just getting something for that castle to sit on. And then because we don't want that to be just a solid line that looks a bit weird, I know it looks a bit weird at the moment, let's have some ground coming in here as well, over the top. And this will ground the tree and ground the fairy couple. Don't worry about this line here because we can stamp some foliage or something over that to hide that. Because we want to have it so that it looks like it's hills, let's turn that one over a little bit. Let's have this one. Let's have this one in the distance, but this one's going to be lighter, so you're going to put a little bit of that on. Okay, so you've got your hills going on in the back. Like I say, don't worry about that. It looks a little bit odd, doesn't it? Could have rolling hills going in. Let's have a little bit of this going on here as well. Don't panic because obviously we're going to be stamping over the top. I think, oh, that looks horrendous. What on earth is she doing? But it's alright because if it's rubbish, I just won't put this video on YouTube. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's very difficult when you're dealing with fairy hugs. It's very difficult to make a bad project. They are photopolymer stamps made in the US, and I bring them into the UK just for you guys. So I think we will have a little bit of a stencil going on in the background as well. And this is your flower vines stencil. Now I want a coordinating colour that isn't going to look too horrendous in the background. So I'm thinking we might go for another green. So I'm thinking we will bring in Twisted Citron here. Just for a little bit of interest in the background. And it'll be obviously a lighter green. And just about, see that? It's only subtle, just a little bit. And perhaps bring some into the hill as well. Again, it's very subtle, but it just adds a little bit of depth to it. That's our Twisted Citron. I do have all the distress inks in stock as well. If anything's out of stock, just click the email when available button and you'll be notified as soon as I get it back again. So let's crack on with this stamping. In fact, first of all, we want a moon, don't we? We don't want the tree first. Oh. Hit the camera again, as always. If you find a video where I haven't actually hit the camera, I should be amazed. Right, so let's bring in our solid Spooky Moon. Now, I'm a little bit funny when I stamp with VersaFine and then stamp on top, because sometimes I find that it bleeds and that really bugs me. So let's just see where we want this. So we want our castle on the hill with the moon behind it. So I think that's a good position actually. Don't know where my other magnets are. Here they are. Because I like a lot of magnets and because I'm not in the corner. What I'm going to do is actually stamp this in archival. I think we'll go for, how dark is this? This is Sunflower. Well, that'll probably be quite nice. It's a mini archival. It's one of the Wendy Vecchi ones. I don't think I have these in stock at the moment. If you need it, just email me, juliawattscrafts@gmail.com, and I'll see if I can get it for you. Now, being archival dries really quickly, so I mean that's a good thing when you want to stamp over the top of it, but it's not such a good thing when you want to get a decent stamp. So it's very light, isn't it? Let's go again, let's see if we can get it darker. It could be that the archival's quite dry. That's why VersaFine Clay is so wonderful, but I don't like it when you stamped with VersaFine Clay and you stamp on top of something and then because it's not dry, the image bleeds. I don't like that. You end up with fairies with fairy legs. Now this is going quite dark because look at the archival now. It's taken the ink off my dirty stamp and it's quite dark, but that's all right. One more go and then we'll just have an inferred moon. That's me not cleaning my stamps. Squeaky desk. It's definitely not an orange moon. That'll look at me. I don't remember stamping it in black, but I must have done at some point. Right, so okie dokie. So at least it's lighter than what we're going to go on with over the top. Then we're going to bring in our lantern tree, and so this is going to go ever so slightly off the side. Let's see if we can. Ooh, that looked good there. Just stood on the greenery that we've got going on. Magnet, magnet. I like all the splodges on the background, which you get for free because it's part of the actual paper. So we're going to stamp the lantern tree in a brown, I think. I think I'm going to go for my go-to brown, which is Acorn VersaFine Clay. And you will find all of the colours of the VersaFine Clays on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses. So we're going to give it quite a lot of tapping. Give it a good press and see how we get on. Like I say, it's very good, this paper, and quite often you only need to stamp once, but we'll see, because some of these stamps haven't been used for a while. I am still using the same stamps that I had 2 years ago now with Fairy Hugs, almost 2 years. 2 years in October was the first show I did for them on the TV. So you look at that, you can see all the lovely detail of that stamp. Amazing. So obviously that's going to be coloured in. I'm going to add some extra colour using the Sentimental Yours watercolour blending brush pens over the top, just to colour in the branches. And again, the watercolour blending brush pens go beautifully on top of this paper. So that's our lantern tree, which is probably one of the biggest stamps that Fairy Hugs do. that. We can actually stamp, let's move this up into the corner now because I'm happier in corners. I'm comfortable in corners. There we go. So let's stamp our castle now on the hill. Sounds like an Ed Sheeran song, doesn't it? We need to make sure that part of the land isn't floating. That's the beauty of a dirty stamp. You can see exactly where it's going. And the fairy couple are going to come down here. And our fairy couple need to clean as well. They're going to go here, like so. Dreaming about their castle on the hill. We'll do the lanterns in a minute. And I think we're going to stamp these in black. Here we are. We're definitely going to stamp these in Nocturne Versafine Clair. You need nice juicy ink pad when you're doing silhouettes. Now, it's highly likely that the fairy couple I'll need to stamp twice. Because I know they need a little bit of love and attention because I've used them a lot. Do check out the Fairy Hugs playlist on my YouTube channel because I've recorded and loads of videos. I've done loads of Facebook lives and some YouTube lives with Fairy Hugs, so there's absolutely loads of inspiration. And if you're on Facebook, do join the Fairy Hugs store Facebook group. There's loads and loads of inspiration, and we love to see your work shared on there. So that's stamped beautifully. Yes, that's Fairy Hug Store on Facebook. So I'm going to get rid of that one, and we're going to stamp the fairy couple again because she's a little bit blotchy. And we love on the Fairy Hug Store. We love, as I say, we love to see your work. And if you share your work, there is a chance that you might be spotted by the boss. And he might ask you to join the design team for a release, and then you get free stamps, sometimes free stencils or papers, and your makes get shown on Create and Craft when there are shows for that release. So it's definitely worth sharing, and it's nice to you know, be part of that community anyway. So that's Fairy Hug Store on Facebook, so please do join that group. I'm on there as well, so I'm always sharing what I do as well. You can also find my Facebook page, which is Julia Watts Crafts on Facebook as well. So there's our fairy couple. Now we need to decide whether we're having lanterns or nests over here. So this is, I mean, like I say, this is the lantern tree, so it stands to reason that we would actually use the lanterns rather than the fairy nests, but it's up to you. You don't have to use the full length of the lantern. So we can have one there, and we can have a bigger one just at the back, perhaps there, like that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, let's have that. So we're going for the lantern set, and I'm going to mask off the bit I don't want, in theory. It might not work out that way. So yeah, I think we'll do the lanterns in brown as well. So this is the acorn. Why is she inked all the way up? Well, it's because I never know how far I want to go. And then I'm going to figure out how far I don't want it. Let me have a look. I need to be overhead for this. So we're going to come down about that many. This is as scientific as it gets. I'm going to go down about that many. So this is just low tack tape. Yeah, that'll be all right. And then a bit there. Let's go down to about there on that one. to be up a bit. Just a little bit. I know it seems faffy. It's part of the fun of it. You watch, I'll put it in exactly the same place. There, that's where I want it. Go there. Yep, we're going with that. We're committed now. Now you do need to remember that if you need to re-ink, that you need to take off the low tack tape, re-ink, and then put another piece of low tack tape on. So you just need to remember that. And I've got to stamp it again. Actually, I don't need to stamp up the chain. I only need to stamp here. So hopefully we'll be all right. Probably because I've faffed for so long and it's very hot at the moment. There we go. So obviously you can't use those again really because they're very wet with ink. But it's just an easier masking technique. So you can see my guesstimates were pretty good. Oh, to show the camera. My guesstimates were pretty good there. Doesn't always happen like that, especially in front of a camera. Okay, so that's your lantern set. And we do have, there's a fairy called Lantana, and she can hold, her hands are out. And in fact, I've probably got her somewhere. Where did I put her? Oh, I don't know where I put her. I'll show you if I find her. I did have her out. This is just me, isn't it? I can't. Her hands are out, and so she can hold the lanterns. Yeah. So she goes with that. So now we want to have perhaps some fireflies flitting around the lanterns. So these are your there is a fireflies set, and then this is the mini fireflies. So as you'd expect, these are a little bit tinier or smaller, if that's the word. And which way do I want to put them? Let's have a look. There's 3 there. Okay, so 3 in the set. I think there's 5 in the original firefly set. And you could also have the bees flitting around. There's dragonflies as well, mini dragonflies. So what colour are we doing? I don't want the brown. I want the black. Put the brown to one side before I use it again. At least it's not red. Okay, so there they are, buzzing around. Just show you so you can see. Little fireflies, mini fireflies. Okay. Where's the thing? Here we are. Always try and put them back, and then you won't lose them. Especially the tiny stamps. And then I think we will have some foliage, I think, but I think we'll just bring in. I'm wanting to use hugs because they look like they're hugging, aren't they? Don't they? But I'm not sure where to put it. It's almost like a journal page, this one, I think. Should we have it there? Let's have it there. And then we'll bring in a little bit of foliage down below. We're not really hiding this join here, are we, much? All those things. I said, oh, we can hide that join. I haven't bothered, have I? I've just got carried away, as I do. Let's put hugs there. And we do that in black as well in the Nocturne. A nice bold sentiment. And this, because the set has, you can see the set has big words, hello, smile, hugs, and for you, and then it has smaller phrases, feel better soon, best wishes, and happy birthday. So that's the fairy word set. One of the more recent sets on Fairy Hugs. So let's bring in some foliage now. In fact, I'm gonna stay on my platform because I've got all my magnets are sitting together. You just do what you like, magnets, whatever you want. I'm going to leave it on there, and then I'm going to just turn this, and I'm going to come off of the page down here. And because it's got foam on it, it just gives me a little bit to work on. So there's two sets I could use that are being featured on Paper Pad this week. That one, and there is also, this is Friendly Branches. This is your Hanging Vines. Hanging Vines is one of the early ones as well. It's number 88. So we can have hanging vines going up. They don't have to hang. They can absolutely go up. Friendly Branches, you don't need to use them as an archway. You can have them scattered around the bottom, which is quite a nice thing to do. They work really well. I think I might go for the hanging vines though, having them go up like foliage that way. And you've got a thin set and a fatter one as well. And we're going to go for a green. I'm going on a block. And we'll go for, I tend to go for Shady Lane because I really like Shady Lane. I think it's my favourite green of Versafire Claire. So let's ink this up. I never know how far to ink because I never know how far I'm going to stamp. Let's see, let's have one actually going off of the page. This is the fapping bit, really. I don't know why I'm pressing so hard, seeing this on my sponge mat. Habit. Oh, stop trying to stamp. I think we'll have it so that we are actually overlapping the fairy a bit. So then they can be, obviously the black doesn't show up, just hides it a little bit, but they can be kind of in a grove, you know, in a meadow, and fingers in inks. And they're really hiding in the undergrowth because maybe they're like Romeo and Juliet, and they shouldn't be missing and that meeting, and that's why they're kind of dreaming of their castle on the hill. So yeah, I quite like that. I'm quite happy with that. If I can get over the fact that my hill's a little bit strange. They would really get out of breath climbing that hill, wouldn't they? Oh dear. That's the fun of it, really, isn't it? So I am going to colour this in. So, but I don't want you to sit there for ages watching me do that. Or I could do in front of you, or not, and come back. We're already half an hour, aren't we? So I'm going to do some very, very simple colouring in. I don't do any blending. and I'm just going to use the watercolour blending brush pens from Sentimentally Yours, and I'll come back and I'll show you what I've done, and I'll also show you a few more ideas of what you can do, perhaps with the fairy couple and the lantern tree, with some other makes, but that's what we're at so far, so I'll be back in a little while. Okay, so we're all coloured in now. Basic colouring, not any shading, so you can see how well the watercolour blending brush pens just go on top of the paper, no problem whatsoever. Obviously it's a little bit harder to colour in the fireflies where you've got distress ink underneath, and all I've done is just edged with a little bit of Lucky Clover Distress Oxide just to give it a bit of an edge into it, and popped it onto black card, so that's all ready to be mounted. It can go obviously into journal, it could go on the wall, it could go on a card, whatever you want it to be, but there you go. So just to recap what we've used, or what I used the lantern set, I used the fairy couple, the mini fireflies, the mini castle, the spooky moons, the fairy words, the hanging vines, and this beautiful lantern tree as well. And then the inks that I used were all Versifying Clairs, so it's Acorn, Nocturne and Shady Lane. Highly recommend those for all of your fairy stamping, any stamping actually of detailed stamps, excellent ink pads. And then the paper background that I used is from the Fairy Hugs Shimmergust Paper Pad. As I said, all the products are available on my website juliawattscrafts.co.uk for shipping to UK addresses. I did promise that I'd show you a couple of other projects, but to be honest I can't find many because I think some of them have already gone off to charity. So you can see here that the mini castle works really well with the stone walkway and also the magical key, and then the fairy couple are just sat at the bottom there. Let's get rid of that so you can see better. That's better. So yeah, and obviously Sending Fairy Hugs is one of the sentiments, and then this is the Wild Roses stamp just in the background. And so you can see the mini castle works really well with the magical keyhole, and then I have another one here with the fairy couple sitting on the magical key. There's lots of fairies that can sit on the magical key. There's this one here, I think she's called Cara, and we've got the lovebirds in the heart tree here as well. So that's they, and I think there's another one here that's just with the mini castle, but using the path of knowledge as the path leading to the castle rather than the stone walkway, so that works really well within the magical key as well. And there is actually a video on my YouTube channel showing how I made that one as well. And do have a look on my website because there's lots of samples using all of the stamps from the design team on my website. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that, and don't forget you can get your products from juliawattscrafts.co.uk, and do check out the other Fairy Hugs videos on my channel, and subscribe if you're not already. That'd be wonderful. Thank you very much. Bye.